For generations, our view of early humanity has been defined by a specific image. We imagine a solitary, primitive figure struggling against a hostile Earth, living a life of constant, desperate survival. This assumption stems from a lack of physical evidence. Because these early humans left behind no massive stone pyramids or walled cities, it was long assumed they lacked both social and intellectual sophistication. But a new wave of invisible archaeology is now reaching into the shadows of deep time. From microscopic charcoal analysis to marine seismology, researchers are recovering the evidence that stone and time erased. The data reveals that for 99% of our history, humanity lived through a highly complex, collaborative, and deeply ingenious way of life. To understand our actual origins, we must look past the pop culture tropes of the Stone Age and analyze the data these early groups left behind. 780,000 years ago, Gesher Benout Yaakov in the Levant was a rich, diverse wetland ecosystem. It offered an abundance of wood, plants, and large animals. Microscopic analysis of ancient charcoal fragments at this site reveals wood from over a dozen plant species. These early humans were systematically harvesting shoreline driftwood to maintain efficient, controlled fires for cooking large game and fish. We see the same environmental knowledge in the North Sea. 10,000 years ago, this was a vast habitable landscape known as Doggerland, the heartland of Mesolithic Europe. To find evidence of human life beneath the ocean, archaeologists partnered with the oil and gas industry, using deep-sea acoustic technology to map the seabed. The map revealed tens of thousands of square miles of complex terrain. Beneath the water lie preserved outlines of ancient rivers and estuaries. Researchers used this topography to identify high ground near rich wetlands, where dense, semi-permanent communities thrived. When they dredged these specific coordinates, they recovered jagged, barbed harpoon points carved from bone and antler. These sophisticated tools and the environmental data prove that early humans were not aimless scavengers, but masters of their landscapes who engineered their movements around the local ecology. For decades, the man-the-hunter model dominated our understanding of early groups. It framed these societies as strictly divided, with men providing the food while women played a passive role. This chart displays global ethnographic data from both historic and modern foraging societies. It illustrates a remarkably high percentage of groups where females are active primary participants in hunting. The records show women tracking game, locating the animals, and executing the physical kill. This collaborative approach maximized the group's caloric return, ensuring that the band's survival never depended on a single demographic. Survival in deep time relied on absolute pragmatic cooperation. In these contexts, the group's immediate needs outweighed the rigid divisions that characterize many later sedentary civilizations. This level of cooperation presents a mystery. Without centralized government, prisons, or laws, how did these bands prevent dominant individuals or aspiring warlords from taking power? The answer appears to be play, a cultural mechanism that provided the foundation for their social structure and governance. In this sociological sense, play refers to a system of voluntary participation. Decisions were made by consensus, and if an individual felt mistreated, they were always free to simply leave the band. We see this system in modern foraging groups today. There are no chiefs. Instead, adults and children share space in a cooperative, unstratified environment. To prevent any single person from accumulating power, they practiced demand sharing. Food and material goods were actively redistributed as a duty rather than a gift. They also developed specific social defense mechanisms, such as insulting the meat, a practice famously documented among the Juhoensi people. When a hunter brings home a large kill, the band mocks it as worthless or a bag of bones. By refusing to let the hunter feel superior to others, the group actively enforces humility and cools any budding pride. Maintaining this level of equality was an active process, upheld through humor, teasing, and strict cultural boundaries that discouraged anyone from rising above the rest. The transition to agriculture was less of a leap forward than a forced adaptation to a changing world. Farming was a necessary response to shifting climates and growing populations, but it came with a significant trade-off in human health, leisure, and ancestral freedom. The hunter-gatherer epoch was not a primitive waiting room for modern civilization. It was humanity's longest-lasting and most sustainable operating system, supporting us for over 1,000,000 years. The ideals we value today, equality, consensual governance, and shared resources, are not new inventions. They are the original blueprints of human nature.